So the Eagles just got absolutely embarrassed by the Buccaneers in a game where really nobody showed up, but Jalen Hurts is putting all the blame on himself as, despite the Eagles' shortcomings in other areas, Hurts explained why the Eagles' loss falls on his shoulders solely. However, Eagles fans can't ignore the struggles by the defense as they got absolutely shredded in this game, and Nick Sirianni actually called out some of the fundamental issues on defense as well as the slow starts and turnovers on offense, but with all these issues, questions have risen about Sirianni's role to play and whether or not he is actually capable of getting the problems fixed, and the calls for his job have only gotten louder. Plus, the bye week is now here, and with the Eagles coming off this terrible performance, it seems like they could look to make some major changes. So, we're going to talk about that and everything else from the Eagles' loss to the Bucs starting right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And I won't lie to you, I mean, right now, I'm just a little bit annoyed that I have to sit here and talk about this team after what I just watched take place down in Tampa Bay, because the Eagles just put forth an absolutely pitiful and disgraceful performance against a Buccaneers team that is very beatable, as we saw in week 3, but for whatever reason, the Birds just couldn't seem to do anything right in this game, which is so maddening for a team with this much talent and with super high expectations. Now, heading into the game, Philly did get some news that certainly made this matchup more challenging, as after being listed as questionable on Friday, star receiver A.J. Brown was downgraded to out on Sunday, meaning that the Eagles would be without their top 2 pass catchers in this game. And to make matters worse, before the game on Sunday, Lane Johnson was also officially ruled out as still coming back from a concussion. So again, that certainly made things much harder for the Eagles offense that was set to face a Bucs defense that has given Jalen Hurts and the Birds trouble in the past, especially with their creative blitzes. And trust me, that was no different in this game. But before we got to see Jalen and the offense, the defense was out there to begin the game after coming off a great performance versus the Saints, but they were anything but great in this one as the Bucs offense got out to a fast start while really doing whatever they wanted as Baker Mayfield got into a quick rhythm with some short and intermediate completions, while the Bucs run game was also effective, and the opening drive was capped off with an easy touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans, who would beat safety CJGJ Johnson, who, by the way, has now given up 4 touchdowns in 4 games. Now, on this one, Evans did clearly push off a little bit, but it was nothing crazy and they didn't call it. So, I mean, as much as I love the guy, he's just got to be better in coverage moving forward. And he knows that, as after the game he said, quote, "To be honest with you, me personally, I got to get effing better." So that's at least good to hear from him, but this first drive was really just the start of what was an awful day for the defense. I mean, they couldn't seem to do much of anything right in this game after being dominant just 1 week ago, as the Bucs scored touchdowns on 3 of their first 4 drives of the game. And again, they really did whatever they wanted to do, whether it was running the football, as the Birds somewhat reverted back to how they looked against the run in the first 2 weeks against a Bucs offense that, mind you, has not been good at running the football so far to start the year. And some of that was not setting the edge well enough at times, although what I think was easily the biggest killer was poor tackling. I mean, the Eagles missed so many tackles in this game. I think at one point they put up a graphic on the screen in the first half that said they had already missed 10 tackles in the game, and that just kills you as a defense because what would have been minimal gains for the Bucs turns into huge chunk plays and they keep drives going. And just overall, fundamentals wise, I mean, the Eagles were awful on both sides of the ball. And Nick Sirianni actually called that out after the game.
We didn't coach well enough, we didn't play well enough, and that's always going to start with me. If we go out there and lay an egg and we're down 24-0, that's going to start on me. I didn't have the guys ready to start. But our fundamentals, all right, weren't what we needed it to be. When you don't, again, this game is always going to come down to the details and fundamentals. Like, did you tackle well enough? Did you take care of the ball well enough? Did you come after the ball yourself well enough? Did you block well enough? And I just didn't think our details and fundamentals were up to our par, up to our standard. And again, when that happens, you got to look at yourself in the mirror first, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror first. Are we doing the right things at practice? Are we doing the right drills? Are we doing so? We'll do a deep dive into not only scheme this upcoming week, sitting at 2-2 at the bye, but we'll also look at, how are we helping these guys become better fundamentally.
It's definitely good that Nick realizes that they do have to make big changes regarding the fundamentals and how they coach and teach things, because all these issues like the missed tackling start with him, like he said, as his job as the head coach is to oversee and run everything while also having the guys ready to play come game day. And the Eagles just simply were not ready to play on Sunday, and again, they weren't good enough in the basic aspects of the game and the fundamentals. So that all starts with the head coach, and I think that combined with everything that happened last year is why you see people people now saying that the Eagles should fire Nick Sirianni right now during the bye week. I mean, he simply has not done a good enough job over these past 11 games going back to last year, getting the guys ready to play and making sure that the team is great in the basic parts of the game. Now, do I think Sirianni will be fired during the bye week? No, not during the season, I don't, but something's got to change for him fast because right now, his seat is only continuing to get hotter and hotter. But again, moving forward, Sirianni and the Eagles just simply need to make changes in their approach to how they coach these basic aspects of the game or something, because it's honestly just embarrassing how bad the Birds' fundamentals were in this game. I mean, tackling is such a basic and important part of football, and the Eagles were simply terrible at it this past week, and the Buccaneers really benefited from it a lot. And they also benefited from the Eagles' both soft and just poor coverage, as Baker Mayfield got into a rhythm early in this game with some of those short and intermediate throws out in the flat to the running backs or to the receivers on the outside. And this is something that we've seen plenty of ever since the Eagles have opted to use these Fangio-esque defensive schemes, and now of course we have Vic himself, but teams have consistently just been able to get the ball out quick on the Eagles defense and move the ball in that way. And slot cornerback Avonte Maddox actually talked about that after the game.
Getting the ball out fast, just like hitting the flats quick, dinking and dishing the ball out fast. I know on one play I missed a tackle on one of the little jet motions to a throw out there, unfortunately. But yeah, that's really the most part. Just getting the ball out pretty fast and running as well.
Was there anything you guys weren't expecting?
No, I know we were expecting like a lot of screens when they go deep, and they was giving that things, and they was doing that as well. But for the most part, you just got to execute. And I feel like we let ourselves down, and we just beating ourselves from the quick game. We just got to get a little bit more stickier to our guys.
Yeah, it's safe to say that the Eagles defense has to find a way to be better against these quick passes and the short game. I mean, obviously the Eagles are now going into a bye, and Nick says everything is on the table in terms of making changes, so hopefully they look into this and adjust. But again, in this game, Baker Mayfield just started off really, really hot, and he never looked back, as he went on to have a fantastic performance, throwing for 347 yards and having a total of 3 touchdowns with no turnovers. And he just looked super comfortable and accurate all game long. And again, the Eagles defense just really didn't provide any resistance at all. And then when they actually did do something good for a change, like Brandon Graham getting a sack on the Bucs' third drive of the game that eventually led to them having the punt, the Eagles just found other ways to hurt themselves, as on that punt, Isaiah Rodgers literally pushed a Buccaneers player into Cooper DeJean, causing him to fumble the ball, and the Bucs recovered in great field position, and they capitalized with a touchdown on a run from Baker Mayfield. And what makes this worse is that after the game, Rodgers doubled down on the decision, saying that he thought it was a savvy veteran move. But that's just simply not true, as you just can't push someone into the returner, and it gets even worse than that, as later in the game, Healy Ringo ran into DeJean on a different punt return, causing another loose ball. I mean, stuff like that is just inexcusable, it's dumb, there's no reason for it, and that Rodgers play specifically cost the Eagles all the momentum they had in that moment, so I mean, that stuff just cannot happen, there's no question about it. And offensively, the Eagles didn't do themselves any favors either, as once again, they got out to an extremely slow start in this game, which has been a theme for the Birds all year, as they hadn't scored any points in the first quarter coming into the game, and of course, that continued in this one as well, as not only did they not score any points on their first 3 drives, but they also didn't even gain any yards, as they went 3 and out on all 3 possessions, and combine that with the way the defense was playing, and the Eagles found themselves in a huge hole early, as they were actually down 24-0 before the first half was even over, so I think it's safe to say that these slow starts that the Eagles have been having are at this point a huge cause for concern, and they just gotta get them fixed. And both Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni know that, as they both talked about what they have to do moving forward to fix that issue after the game. And Sirianni also said that the slow starts are the first thing that he and the coaches are going to look at and try to get fixed during the bye week.
It's 4 games now without a first quarter point. What needs to be done to start quicker in these games?
I got to start fast. I have to play better.
Yeah, we've been starting slow on offense. Obviously they came down and scored right away today on defense. So I think it's been both sides, but we haven't scored on any of our opening drives. So we got to start faster on offense. That'll be one of the first things we look at. How do we go down and go up 7-0, or how do we go down and go up 7-3 or whatever it is. We got to do a better job of starting fast, and I'll look at everything. I'll look at what we're calling, how we're playing, anything we can do in practice to simulate it. I mean, that's what you look at if something's not going the way you want it to go, whether it's red zone, whether it's third down. You look as a coach of how can I simulate this. So maybe it's something like that. Haven't had to do that yet, but everything will be on the table.
Like Sirianni said, this is something that certainly has to be evaluated, and changes 100% have to be made, hence why he's made it a priority during the bye week. Because, I mean, these slow starts are honestly inexcusable for an offense this talented, and it's forced the Eagles to constantly be playing from behind, and they've never really been able to have control over a game in large part because of this issue. And the thing is, like, it's not that the Eagles don't have the talent to do it. We saw it on the 4th drive of the game where they were able to go right down the field in part because of Saquon getting going on the ground, and they were able to get into the end zone with Hurts finding Paris Campbell on 4th and 1 for the touchdown. It's just that for whatever reason, they can't seem to get things rolling early, which personally, I just think they need to do a much better job of giving the ball to Saquon early and just establishing the run game super early in the game, because I think that really unlocks things for Jalen Hurts and the rest of the guys. But whatever the issue with the slow starts is, I mean, they just got to get it figured out or they can be in huge trouble moving forward. But the crazy thing is, that isn't even the biggest problem with the Eagles offense right now. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute. But real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So despite being down 24-7 at halftime, the Eagles still had a chance in this game as they got the ball to start the second half, and they capitalized on that opportunity as Saquon Barkley gave the Eagles life once again with an incredible 59-yard run where he was just flying and outrunning Bucs defenders. And a few plays later, the Birds punched it into the end zone on a Jalen Hurts brotherly shove. So just like that, it was a 10-point ball game, and the Eagles had life. But unfortunately, the now depleted defense couldn't get a stop with guys like Reed Blankenship and Darius Slay going off with issues related to the extreme heat in this game. And Baker Mayfield led the Bucs right down the field once again, and running back Bucky Irving capped it off by getting the score from 1 yard out. But the good thing is that the Eagles' special teams actually helped swing momentum back in their favor, as the two guys who made mistakes previously in the game made a play, with Isaiah Rodgers blocking the extra point and then Keely Ringo returning it all the way back for 2 points. So at this point, it was a 14-point game, and the offense had the chance to go make it just a 1-touchdown lead for the Bucs. And it looked like they were going to do that at first, as Jalen Hurts got some nice completions and Saquon Barkley made another big play, and they got all the way down to the Bucs' 19-yard line. But this is where I think the Eagles' chances of winning this game were pretty much ended, as Jalen Hurts dropped back to pass and was pressured, and he initially did evade it, but he then tried to throw the ball into the end zone, and the same guy who he had evaded previously in Levante David reached out and stripped the ball, and the Bucs recovered, taking away all the Eagles' momentum, and then a Bucs field goal on the next possession made what could have been a 1-score game a 3-score game early in the fourth quarter. And to me, I mean, this fumble is just 100% on Jalen. Like, he has to have the pocket awareness there to know that the guy he just evaded seconds ago is still right there. Like, it's not like he just disappeared. He's still going to be right there trying to make a play on the football, so he just has to protect the ball in that situation. However, Nick Sirianni didn't think this play was Jalen's fault, as he defended Hurts after the game.
Strip sack fumbles like that Jalen's getting ready to throw. That's not when you look at those there's when the guy's coming from behind on you and gets the ball out. That's not Jalen. But Jalen gets credited for that. And so, you know, again, I'll have to look at the tape and see what happens.
While I don't mind Sirianni defending his quarterback there, I do think after watching the tape, he might go back and change his mind. Because to me, I think Jalen's awareness in that situation just has to be better. And he at least seems to know that, as after the game, he took the blame for not just the fumble, but also the Eagles' loss and poor offensive output in general.
You know, I think overall, I just have to play better. I got to play better. We have a ton of opportunities to lead the offense and really play complimentary ball, and it starts with me on that side of the ball. And I would get down like we did. We got to help. I have to help the defense out, executing, communicating. You know, the things that I'm seeing on the field, and just trying to really create the momentum that we need just to get in the end zone. It starts with me in terms of getting in the end zone and leading drives, and I didn't do a good enough job with that.
With the turnovers, you're among the leaders this year and last year, which is different from the earlier parts of your career. How do you kind of process that, and what would be the operation to this week to help get that fixed?
Yeah, I got to be better. That's the only thing I can say. I got to be better. I think things will be better once we establish identity for ourselves.
Hopefully, Hurts is right in saying that the turnovers will go down once the team starts to establish their identity a little bit. But like he said, he just has to be better in that area, plain and simple. And even though Nick Sirianni did defend Hurts, he also realizes that the Eagles just can't continue to turn the ball over in general, as after the game, he made it clear that continuing to do that is just not sustainable. And he kind of called out the Eagles for their recent turnover issues.
All the guys are working their butts off as far as the turnover go. Again, we'll have to reorganize, relook at ourselves as coaches to see if we're putting them in the doing the right things with them, because we're not winning. At the end of the day, we're -6, so we all got to own that. We all got to put our name on that. So, we'll reevaluate that, and obviously I haven't done a good enough job of that to date, because we weren't last year. We weren't great at the turnover battle, and this year we're not. So we'll, like I said, everything will be everything, scheme, fundamentals will all be evaluated, because I said it last week. You can't. This is not sustainable when you don't win the turnover battle and you're down -6 on it. So. Everything will be evaluated.
I mean, hopefully Sirianni and the coaches can come up with some way to help the Eagles and Jalen Hurts just cut down on their turnovers during the bye week. But there's only so much they can do, and Hurts and the players just have to execute at a certain point. And in this game, I think it's fair to say that Jalen just wasn't great. I mean, this is now the 12th game in a row that he's had a turnover, and this one in particular really just took the life out of the Eagles in that particular situation that it happened in, and I feel like it's just not too much to ask our $250 million quarterback to protect the ball a little bit better. Now, did Hurts have a ton of help in this game? No, he didn't. Obviously, not having AJ and DeVonta really hurts, and I think the play calling wasn't the best, especially knowing that those two weren't out there. Again, I think I'd like to see a better effort of trying to get Saquon the ball, especially on the ground early in the game. And again, I also think when AJ and DeVonta get back out there, the Eagles will obviously be in a much better situation offensively. And I also do think the offensive line didn't do the best job blocking for Hurts and protecting him well enough in this game. But at the end of the day, Hurts is being paid to be a difference maker and the franchise quarterback, and I think he's just got to step up more. He's got to cut down on the turnovers, he's got to protect the ball more, and he's got to elevate this offense. We've seen him do it before, and even this year at times, but he just didn't do it in this game, and he's got to be better. But at least it was good to hear him take the blame, and I still am confident in him moving forward. But I would be lying if I said that my confidence in the 2024 Eagles hasn't been shaken after the eventual 33-16 loss to the Bucs in Week 4. I mean, other than Saquon Barkley having another good performance, there really just wasn't anything very redeemable from this game. The offense started slow, they turned the ball over, and they couldn't handle the Bucs blitz once again. The defense was terrible all around, and the special teams had some of the dumbest mistakes I've ever seen. And again, the Eagles just didn't look like they were ready to play in this game, and their fundamentals were terrible. But at least the one good thing is that they got their bye week now coming up, and it's going to give them the chance to make some big changes. Now, I don't think it's going to be a head coaching change like a lot of people may want to happen, but I do think, based on what Nick Sirianni said after the game, that him and his staff are going to look at everything and make changes accordingly. I mean, he kept saying during his press conference that they were going to go into this bye week and evaluate everything from the turnovers to the fundamentals and the scheme and the way different things are coached. Everything is on the table, and I personally am going to be curious to see if they make any big changes coming out of this bye week. And for the Eagles, just mindset-wise, it's going to be very, very important for them to stay together and just try and learn from this and move forward. A lot of fans and people are going to be talking like this season is already over and the Eagles have no chance of doing anything, and trust me, I completely understand the reasoning behind that and I understand all the criticism, but the Birds certainly are not going to hit the panic button. They're just 4 weeks into the season, so they have 13 games left. They're 2-2, they're not 1-3 or 0-4, and they're also going to get a chance to get a bunch of key guys back coming off the bye, and Brandon Graham pretty much echoed this same message to the team and also to the media after the game.
We just going to own this one. It wasn't the best showing for us, but what I do like is we're gonna be healthy coming off this bye. 2-2, and it's like what you do. What you do is how you respond. And as long as we're not pointing fingers and we're trying to get better, by the end of the season we should be getting stronger. And I feel like we're getting stronger. We just got to get everybody back out there on the field. The offense for sure. We got their back. We know they struggled today, and they're gonna get right once they get everybody back too. And we just hit the ground running, man. But like I told them boys, man, let's learn from this. Enjoy the week off. Get away from it, and then come back ready to work.
Hopefully, like Graham said, the Birds can come back off this bye, make the necessary changes they need to make to get better, get healthy, and really just start to put some wins together and establish an identity. I mean, after the bye, the Eagles have probably the easiest stretch of schedule they have the entire season with the Browns, the Giants, the Bengals, and then the Jaguars, and those are all very, very winnable games in which hopefully they're able to build some momentum and hopefully just get things right and start to become the team that we know they can be. But what do you guys think? I mean, personally, I am pissed at the loss and my confidence is shaken, but I'm trying my very, very best to remain positive and not call it quits in the season just yet because, again, we are very early. We're just 4 weeks in. But again, all that being said, what are your guys' thoughts? How confident are you in this Eagles team moving forward after that horrible loss to the Buccaneers? And also, again, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout this entire season. And also, just drop a like because that really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes on this video. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.